Fight.
Hey YouTube, it's Faye, and for today's video, I'm going to be continuing my wheel bearing R&R video, and this is part 2, where I'm going to be disassembling the hub and actually replacing the bearing. So if you missed the first part, link in description to see how I removed this lovely hub. Okay, so already we can tell this is going to be a great video because right here, I've got my trusty air hammer, so stay tuned, this is going to be great. Now the part that I decided to use is a genuine Toyota wheel bearing. Look at that, it's beautiful. Here's the part number. I will link this in the description below. Ta-da! Genuine Toyota parts. I don't know, it came sort of smashed in the box like that, which is why I took it out and made sure it was okay. So, I'm gonna start out with my 12mm socket, and I'm just gonna quickly remove this little bracket. Whoa, that was aggressive. Why I didn't remove this in my last video, I don't know, but I didn't. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm gonna start by removing this little dust boot. And this is actually a seal, so if you wanna go ahead and replace this seal, you're welcome to. It just depends on whether or not you think it's in good shape. So I've got this, I've also got this, and a ball peen hammer, because nothing better than a ball peen hammer. All right, check this out. I actually went over to the bench grinder and I made this really sharp. So see how it's got like a super sharp edge on it? That's gonna help me pry up this little dust cover. So I'm just gonna go ahead and very gently, I don't wanna bend this because I am gonna try to reuse this. Go like so. A bit of prying, and look how rusty it is. So actually the seal still looks fine on this, but there's just a lot of rust and corrosion around it. So I'm gonna clean that up gently while also making sure to protect the seal there. So, all right, we'll just set that guy aside. Next, we've got this massive nut in here. Okay, so there is a Toyota special SST. Special service tool for removing this, and you know, I actually have one, but I broke it. So I'm gonna start by mounting it in the vise, and let's just turn you over there, little buddy. And I wanna protect my wheel studs, so I'm gonna go ahead and thread on my lug nuts to protect them. Okay, now over to the vise. Not my Supra vise, she's over there, but it is spelled the same. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line up the 4 lug nuts with the space in the vise. So, we can go like so, and then I'm gonna tighten the vise down onto the lug nuts. All right, so here's where it starts to get fun. So just like you would find on an axle nut, actually a huge axle nut, there's a little indentation here to stop this from backing off. So what I'm gonna do is stand on this chair, sketchily, and just with my punch and my ball peen hammer. All right, awesome. Then for the fun part, got my trusty little air hammer, and I'm just gonna air hammer in these holes to move this nut the way that I want it to go. Look how easy that is. Plus, like, let's be real, using the air hammer rather than the special tool is so satisfying. All right, so just spinning off that nut and keep these guys together. All right, and next, you may have missed it because it was in my last video, I already loosened all these bolts when the hub was still on the car. So, sorry truck. So it's gonna be pretty easy for me to just undo these bolts as far as they can come out. And once you've reached a point where you think that these bolts are backed out as far as they can go, just go ahead and pull up a little bit. Or, you know, once again, use a hammer. Another thing you can do is you can go ahead and with a little pry bar, you can push up on the heads of the bolts and get them all out evenly that way. Continue backing them out. You can see I got one free now. This one is totally free. That one's totally free. Okay, so now they're all free. So, go. Give a gentle pry. And now we have separated this knuckle from the actual hub, so that's pretty rad. Next, I'm going to remove the little dust shield, set that aside. And at this point, I still cannot get these out, right? These guys are stuck in there. So this is what I'm going to bring over to the press and press out and press this guy in its place. Cool, let's go for it. Well, that idea went over like a bag of bricks. The shop press that I have now was not up to the task. So, feeling a little defeated, I decided to bring them to the master.
The bolts will go in from this side, because once you put it together, if we don't put those bolts in there, we are not in good shape.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll be like, oh no, let's do it again. No.
Okay, the struggle was real with this one, and finally, after 5 tons of pressure, the darn thing moved. So, my pathetic little sketchy little shop press actually just was not fit for the bill here. And actually, if you are unfamiliar with these, Toyota ones are particularly difficult. So, for like the regular DIY at-home hobbyist, this is when I would recommend that, just like I did here, you take it to a machine shop to get this job done. And sorry that I'm voicing over right now rather than sharing our hilarious banter with you, but there's some epic, probably not copyright-free music going on in the background. Now, normally here you would just cut the seal off and pry off any of the remaining bearing components that are stuck, obviously very, very carefully, making sure not to damage the sealing surface. But in this case, I was slacking, and I ordered these parts way too late, and actually the seal was not in stock. So what Danny's doing here is trying his best to preserve the seal, and he does. So he went ahead and took that seal and installed it onto the bearing. Before pressing it, he taped those bolts into place so they didn't fall out and cause a bunch of problems for him when he was installing. And another cool thing that we're seeing here is that he's using the old bearing as a tool. Danny's using this socket, which is going to fit perfectly in that inner ring and not put any pressure on the rest of the part. You want to be very careful when you're pressing these two components together that you only want to press on the inner race of that bearing, not the outer race, because the pressure that it's going to take could explode the new bearing. And we really only have one shot because I just got one of these, or well, I guess 2 of these, both of them, for both sides, as it were. But once you've just split it apart and you've damaged that little cage holding in those little rollers together, you are screwed and you've got to buy a new one. So making sure everything is set to go, pressing from the inner race, transferring over those bolts beforehand, and yeah, this should be good. All right, and now that my hub assembly is complete, I'm gonna get everything prepped for reassembly. And, teaser alert, I actually was able to score, or aka borrow, the special tool. So stay tuned if you'd like to watch part 3. I'll be showing reassembly, complete with torque specifications, link in description when that video is ready. So thanks for watching, and yeah, bye.